Welcome to the Interaction Media Podcast, a weekly conversation about all things marketing. I'm Paige, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Eric Tomlinson. As Interaction's senior web developer, Eric works with our clients on graphic design, website development, illustration, and so much more. Welcome, Eric.
Thanks for having me, Paige.
Today, we're discussing how to take ownership of your domain. Online, your domain is the face of your business. It's how people find your company, contact your company, and learn more about the services and products that you offer. But what happens when the agency or the graphic designer that had developed your company's website is holding your domain hostage? How do you get it back? When is it appropriate to seek legal counsel? Well, that's exactly what we'll be discussing today. Eric, for listeners that might not be certain, what is a domain?
Well, Paige, a domain is basically the address either for you, your personal venture, or your business. You can think of it this way. A domain would be like your home address at your home. And your website content would be the stuff in your house. So in order to find something in your house, you first have to be able to get to your address. So you can think of a domain as your home address on the internet for your business. This is the way I always thought about it anyway.
Well, with that example, it makes it kind of a weird question now, but why is it important to have ownership of your domain or your home, basically?
Really, especially if you're a business mainly,
Yeah.
it's important to have it, mainly because if you ever want to switch to another domain or update your website, it just makes it a lot easier if you have control of that domain. As you said in your opening, if the designer or the agency that you previously worked with owns your domain, and as you'll hear in a few minutes, it can get exceedingly difficult if they're not cooperative to get control of that back.
Well, speaking of that, what are some steps that you would take to reclaim your domain if you don't have ownership?
If you do not have ownership, the first thing you want to do, I'll start at the ground. If you don't even know who has ownership, there's a website called who.is, and it's a way to find out who has ownership of a website. Anybody can do it.
Okay.
And you can see who owns the domain for anything. Yeah. Now, if someone sets that to private, that makes it a little more difficult, but we'll get into that here in a minute. But first thing you would do is put your domain in their search bar, and it would come up, and it brings up all the information as far as where the domain's at, who registered it, when. Yeah. All that information will be there, and so you would want to try to get the contact number of the person that set that up. If you work with a legitimate agency or designer who's trustworthy, you contact that person, and they're more than willing to help you out. Sometimes they won't, because a lot of people charge exuberant amount of money in order to do that service.
Right.
So they don't want to give that up easily.
They're losing business.
But if they're a legitimate business, they'll talk to you, help you through the process. Now, if it so happens that that person doesn't want to help, there are ways to try to get around that if they're unresponsive. Normally, if you can talk to them, you've kind of got them. Yeah. But if they just don't answer or talk to you, it makes it a little bit more difficult. You can, like GoDaddy is one, and they have an abuse hotline you can call and talk to them, speak with them, explain your situation. Now, it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But that's really your last resort before you basically get a new domain.
Right.
However, most times I think most eventually, if you bug them enough, are going to help out. Now, as you said in your opening monologue there, as far as legal, it really depends on the size of your business, whether you can afford to go down that route. Now, it is an option, but again, it depends on. Usually, a designer. If it's just a designer that's not a big company, just having that lawyer send a letter can scare them enough to where they will, like anything else, that people get nervous around when they see lawyer official things. So,
Yeah,
so that can help. But
sure.
mostly, you would, if you know the register, you can. Um, and the way that you transfer it is fairly simple. Like I'll use GoDaddy as an example.
Yeah.
If you have a GoDaddy account and it's in a GoDaddy account, you just request them to do an in GoDaddy transfer, and they handle all that, and it's really quite simple to do it that way. And a lot of other domain providers will assist you with transferring your domain as well.
Gotcha. Earlier you had mentioned about starting a new domain. Now in your blog you talk about why that should be the last resort. Why is that?
It's a last resort because most of the times you're going to have SEO build up
Yeah.
and a following on your website. But in the end, it's more important to have your information out there, and you can still battle to get that website back. If you're able to do that, it's easy to do a domain forward where, say you had wethepeople.com
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't get it, so you said westillthepeople.com.
Oh.
If you would gain the other one back, you can have it just forward directly to your new one. So
Okay.
you would still get all those people that still had it before. But it's a last resort just because, you lose if people know your domain.
Yeah.
It's going to take them somewhere, and you don't have control. So
Yeah.
somebody could put up on that other one not very nice things about you or your company,
Right.
and you couldn't have control over that.
For
So
sure.
normally that's when the abuse hotline will help. If
Yeah.
somebody does that, it's usually easier to get action.
Right. Here at Interaction Media, we want to help you tell your story. Established in 2011, we've set ourselves apart as the go-to media and marketing agency in West Virginia. When it comes to clear, effective, and creative marketing strategies, we have the tools and the expertise to help your company succeed.